Hey, what's up dudes? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. Today I want to talk about the most likely licensed characters we could see for Dead by Daylight within the next couple of years. Now, of course, Dead by Daylight set out kind of a structure for their releases when it comes to chapters over the past year or two since Ghostface, where we get around 2 licensed chapters a year. So I decided to do about 5 chapters that are extremely likely, and we see that over the next 2 years in an extra anniversary event, give or take. But before we get completely into it, if you guys were updated, informed, or entertained, I'd really appreciate a like on the video. It means a ton to me and it helps out the video a lot with visibility. And also, if you want more daily Dead by Daylight content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That also means a ton to me and helps out the channel an absolute ton. So thank you guys. But with that being said, let's go ahead and completely jump into this. So the first killer we're going to talk about, and keep in mind this is not in order. I didn't order this from like most likely to least likely. These are just all extremely likely characters. And the first one I want to talk about is of course the most recent one that gained a ton of popularity, and that is Springtrap. So Springtrap and the FNAF community have made their voices so heard over the past couple of weeks when it came to the teases for Hellraiser. Now at that point in time we didn't know that they were teases for a Hellraiser chapter. A lot of people's eyes went to Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's, and since those teases, I mean, so many content creators within Dead by Daylight, me included, have grown an exponential amount thanks to the popularity of this character. You can't really deny it. There was a lot of people who wanted to know if it was FNAF who wanted Springtrap in the game, and they were watching the people who were talking about this killer being in the game, whether it was the teases, whether it was deconfirming the character. There was just a lot of views everywhere. This community made their voice heard. Now whether they'll listen or not is another question, but do keep in mind leaks by Daylight, and take this with a grain of salt as all leaks or inside information, air quotation marks. Leaks by Daylight did say that it's not easy, but Behavior would like to please the community on a chapter in collaboration with FNAF. The source is the same that allowed me to anticipate that the Resident Evil chapter would have Leon, Kennedy, Jill, and Nemesis. So take that with a grain of salt, but it does sound like, and I think it's a given regardless of that information, that Behavior did hear this very, very vocal community. So I'd say it's pretty damn likely that we could see this character within the next couple of years. I'm not saying it's going to be the next chapter, as the next 2 chapters are more than likely going to be original, but I'd say he's a good chance for the next licensed chapter. Now the next character is one that actually became possible by another licensed chapter happening, and that is the Alien, the Xenomorph from the Aliens franchise. Aliens, whatever you want to call it. Ridley Scott's masterful creation. Now the thing about Alien is, from what I could find researching for this video, he hasn't been talked about by the devs, but he is one of the most highly requested. It is one of the most highly requested by the community, one of the most requested killers in Dead by Daylight history. Now this character unfortunately does not seem to have been teased in the past teases for Dead by Daylight. So even though this character has not been talked about by the devs, he is still a highly requested character, and he actually became possible by Demogorgon coming into the game, as the devs had previously stated before the Stranger Things chapter that they didn't want to do any non-humanoid characters, which means no werewolf, no vampire, no alien, not really a predator. I don't really know, that's kind of like an ambiguous one, but no animal-like creatures. Now thanks to the Demogorgon actually happening, it has opened up a plethora of new characters, new killers that could actually come to the game, and Alien is one of those, and probably one of the most requested. Now of course we have to have Candyman on the list as well. This character has not only been talked about by the devs, been one of the most teased characters in Dead by Daylight history, but Tony Todd is still willing to do Candyman work. There's a new movie that's coming out very soon, and this has been one of the most highly requested characters by the community as well. So everything really lines up for Candyman. I'd say when it comes to this character, there are a few characters on this list that's more or less more like theorizing, like yeah, they sound likely, they seem very likely, but it's still not 100% guaranteed. I think Candyman is the one character on this list that is 100% guaranteed to come to Dead by Daylight before the game reaches its, end cycle, before the game actually ends. Now the next character has been teased. People think he's been teased. It's very speculative around this character. People think that this character has been teased. People actually thought this was one of the characters being recently teased from one of the first teases for the Hellraiser teases. It's a lot of teases in one sentence, and that is Pennywise. The devs have talked about Pennywise in the past. He's one of the most heavily requested killers by the community in Dead by Daylight history as well. He's, like I said, he's also been teased before, but the main thing here is the devs are actually, there's not a lot of characters that the devs have come out and made a statement for wanting in their game, but that is exactly what Dave Richards did in an interview with Gamer Revolution. In this email interview, the question was asked, what established killers from movies or otherwise Pennywise would you like to be able to add to the game in the future? And his answer was, there are still a few candidates that we'd love to see in the Dead by Daylight roster. Personally, I would love to see Jason and Pennywise become a part of the family. Pennywise, one of the most popular characters in horror history, a Stephen King creation, and you know that guy knows how to write characters. He just had two very popular movies come out in 2017 and then 2019, It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. So I personally think, while I don't know how they do the character, I do think the character is a shoo-in for a future licensed chapter. Now, getting the license is a little bit harder than that, because from the story that I've heard, and this is off the record, unofficial, I haven't done a ton of research on it, but the popular folklore that I've heard when it comes to Stephen King licenses is they have to personally go to him and get his permission to use his character. That could be off the wall, completely wrong, but I've read that in a few different places, and if that is the case, they better hope that their game pleases him. And then the last character I want to talk about is a personal favorite of mine, and one character that I'm sort of kind of manifesting, but at the same time I do feel is really likely for the reasons I'll give you, and that is The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, this is a character that is still in the realm of unlikelihood, but still kind of likely at the same time, as Dead by Daylight are still, and Behavior are still firm in their stance of not wanting to do any shape-shifting or deception-esque killers, and that's one of the reasons a lot of people were upset when the Legion came out, as the trailer showed us one thing and we got a completely different thing. But since then, the cry for The Thing has been even larger and been even louder. Now, this goes back to that player satisfaction survey, which is very interesting, and every single killer that I've talked about so far was on that survey, but it's interesting that The Thing was on there. He's another one of the most requested killers in Dead by Daylight history. He has no copycat original killers yet, and Behavior have worked with Universal before, who owns the license, and it was on a John Carpenter related project as well, which happened to be Halloween. So even with their stance of not wanting to do a deception-esque killer, which would be impossible to not do for The Thing, if you do The Thing, it has to be a deception killer. It has to be putting that paranoia in the survivor's head. Are you my teammate? Are you trying to eat me when I turn away? That type of thing. That has to be how it's done for The Thing. And I feel like that the devs have definitely opened their mind and broadened their horizons when it comes to what they will and won't do in Dead by Daylight over the past couple of years since they made that original statement. And I think they might possibly see the potential of what they could do with a character like The Thing in Dead by Daylight now, or at least I hope they do. I don't feel like The Thing was on the survey for no reason, and I'm sure an ton of people actually clicked on this character. I know I did. But like I said, there is an honorable mention to every killer that was on the survey back in April. It ranged from Supernatural and Predator to Scooby-Doo and The Walking Dead. It had Carrie on it, it had The Ring on it, The Grudge, a ton of different horror TV, movies, video games, and even animes. So Dead by Daylight and Behavior are definitely looking at broadening their horizons and thinking about what they want to bring into the game, and I personally wouldn't mind whatever they chose to do, so long as they made it fun and interesting. And also, you can't make a video like this without mentioning Jason. Of course Jason's coming to the game as soon as that lawsuit ends. That's a given. But anyways, dudes, that is the video. I want you guys to let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Did I miss a killer that you think is more likely than the ones that I have on this list? Let me know what you think. And also, let me know what you think about the powers for these specific characters on the list. What do you think that they could do to make these characters different from the ones already in the game? Because, I gotta be real, some of the licenses for Dead by Daylight, some of the powers have been very, very weak and uninspired. And that kind of changed with Hellraiser and Pinhead, but we're actually going to be doing a video on that very soon. But that's going to do it for me, dudes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. But that's going to do it for me. Like I said, my name is Tooten. I've been your host, and I'll see you dudes next time. Peace out.